It's exactly 9 minutes to 8 a.m. I'm Arnold Sagawa. You're still watching Our Morning at NTV. Let's delve into arguably the man with the busiest job in the country right now. A conversation with him, Dr. Baterana, to walk us through how hard it is to run the National Referral Hospital at a time when you have a global pandemic. Lots of questions. God knows if you have any on social media, you can throw him a few. That's of course at NTV Uganda. Doctor, I'm very convinced you have the busiest job in the country as it stands right now.
For sure. Yes, it's very busy. Very busy.
It's very busy.
Very busy.
Tell me, how many cases do you have right now at the hospital?
Right now, we had 23. We have discharged most of them, actually discharged 21, and we are remaining with 2. And we are about to discharge the 2 maybe today or tomorrow. But hopefully today, if the second results come out as a negative, we discharge them today.
How many times do you have to test? Is it a sequential kind of testing, or do you test once and it's good?
If we test for a short for a few times, you would test 2 times at the end. If you test from the beginning to confirm, then at the end of 14 days you test again. Then after 24 hours you test again, and if all of those the last 2 are negative, then you can discharge the patient, and the patient can go home and join the rest of the society and do his work or her work very well.
It's very confusing to a layman when they hear that there's a few cases in the north, in the east, in the west, and the referral hospitals are handling it at a regional basis, while you would have thought maybe everything should be rushed to Mulago Hospital given your size and your capacity. How do you defend that particular decision?
You see, it is very interesting. It's very interesting because quite a number of people thought that coronavirus was too deadly. Actually, I want to assure you that coronavirus is a highly infectious disease, but it's not deadly as people really expect. Because you may ask me, but how come that in some other countries it has killed a number of people, and what are you talking about? I am saying it is not deadly as we expect, because in these countries, you know very well that in Western world, people die of heart disease, cancer, accidents, pneumonias, and so forth. Now, we are hearing of only the coronavirus. Where has the cancer, the heart disease, and so forth gone? To me, probably people are dying they are dying with coronavirus, but they are dying of heart disease and so forth. And in fact, to show this, in Mulago Hospital, when we admitted patients, some patients had epilepsy, HIV, some had diabetes, and so forth and so forth. So these patients, if we had not managed the comorbidities like diabetes and hypertension and heart disease, they would have progressed to severe disease, and they would need probably intensive care unit, and probably they would have died. So I think these other diseases are the ones who are killing, but not really corona.
Are you making a case for kind of what we see with HIV and AIDS, where yes, it does maybe weaken your immune system, and then something else wipes you away, maybe the pneumonias and the tuberculosis of this world?
Well, it is more or less like that, because at the beginning of HIV infection, you know it very well, in the late 1980s and the early 90s, when there was no drug. Whenever a person was diagnosed HIV positive, such a person was stigmatized and almost
written off.
Yes, and written off, almost neglected. And yet such a person would probably die of diabetes, would die of something else. Now, when we hear of a novel virus, there is a tendency to stigmatize and neglect such a person. But of course, if we treated the person symptomatically and also treated the comorbidities, such a person would recover and do his work very well. Yes.
Touching the HIV issue, there's a story we ran here where HIV patients were actually worried about their drugs actually getting to them, the antiviral drugs. How can we address this better? Because given the fact that we now have a COVID-19 novel virus that is taking the world by storm, maybe all our focus is shifted on the other side.
No, actually, it is true that we may be shifting most of our focus to COVID-19, but for the HIV patients, we know them. We know them, and the country had stock of the ARVs, and people kept on picking the ARVs, and they took them, and I think there has not been any problem. And you can see we have handled the COVID disease very fast and very well. As I told the country before, you know, I poured water on COVID, saying that we are, for us, the team in Mulago Hospital is waiting for it. Let it come. We shall defeat it as winners. It will find us as winners, and we shall defeat it and remain as winners. In fact, when it came, we have defeated it, and it has gone, and a few are being
Doctor,
mocked out.
Isn't that a little too early for you to be saying that? As the rest of the world is warning that there might be a second wave.
It is not early, because we have actually learned how to manage this disease very well. It's not early, because this disease can be managed even at Health Center 4, provided that what to use, what we call the protective equipment, is available, and the patient has no comorbidity. Anybody at Health Center 4 at the district level can actually handle this patient.
Right, but let's talk about the equipment, because there have been videos circulating on social media showing health officials actually running away from patients because they do not have the gear.
Yes.
Yes.
Then the issue is,
are we really defeating it?
In the zigzag process of doing things, when things have just come, advance is made by retreat from error. Indeed, when you don't have what to use, you can run away from the enemy. Health workers could have done it. I cannot say yes or say no. They could have done it because they were not protected. But once health workers are protected, I can assure you no health worker will run away from the patient, provided that they have been protected.
Has this been addressed, at least in Mulago?
This one has been addressed, and all over the country, the Ministry of Health has tried its best, and as the government, to make sure that the protective
give me a figure. Do you have some masks that you have procured following this particular ensemble?
Of course, we had the masks before, and we also have masks that we have procured, and also masks that have come from Ministry of Health. So we are, for us at Mulago, we are fine with the masks now. We are doing well really, and we can tackle any case of COVID. Let it come.
Dr. Baterana, I really love your gallantry and your enthusiasm. I can feel it that we're actually winning here. Let's talk about a story on the third page of the Daily Monitor. Makerere to start testing COVID-19. Yes. Now, just yesterday, there's so many kits that are being used out there. Give me a sense of, are you endorsing some of these inventions that are coming through as per today, at least with Makere's? We had another from Dakar and the UK. There's so many that are propping up. Are you actually looking at some and saying, you know what, this is maybe the way to go?
Yeah, of course, when you look at the Makerere Medical School, Makerere is one of the most important and highly prestigious in Africa, and has a very good position in the world. And that's why you see the graduates of Makerere really everywhere, whether it is America or UK, people love us actually as very good graduates. Now, the invention which Makerere is putting in place, actually when you see Makerere, where Makerere touches the medical school, you know that is a very good area. And they will definitely, if they could invent the testing kit for Ebola, then the testing kit for coronavirus will definitely come out. And once they come out, it means actually let's use our locally generated our locally generated tests, because when they're locally generated, they become cheaper and easier to use, and it shows that actually we are independent of outside world. For how long shall we depend on outside world? Look, the outside world is locked.
No,
how long shall we depend on it? So I think with Makerere, that is very good. We will definitely endorse it and start using it. It will undergo several tests to prove that actually it can do it. And once it passes those tests, we shall definitely take it.
Doctor, I'm a Makerere graduate myself.
Very good. That's very good.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I share in this enthusiasm. Yes. My only issue is scale. Take, for instance, Kira Motors. Maybe I'm taking you into engineering. Kira Motors on one end, and you cannot scale it. You cannot scale per se. You cannot say that Kira Motors cars can go on the market with their pricing and compete globally. And this could be another issue that we are seeing with this particular kit that they are developing. Are they contracting, are they talking hand in hand with someone like you, who is in the thick of things, who is on the front line?
Yes, because this is coming from mainly from the medical school. And from the medical school, you see, the medical school and the Mulago are inseparable. Mulago Hospital and the medical school are exactly, it's like a man and husband. We are really inseparable. So we are always working together. And should it come out, then the first person, the first place to use it actually is Mulago Hospital. Because we are inseparable. We will test it, and if it gives us very good results, we shall definitely adopt it and use it. And that is actually what we call a bubu. We have to buy Uganda.
Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
Perfect, absolutely. Because we need to have trust in our own people, you know, other than trusting the foreigners.
Dr. Baterana,
Yes,
let's shift gears and talk about drugs. Which, before I ask you which drugs are looking promising, there's an issue of hydrochloroquine, as we've come to know it. President Trump said a few weeks ago that this is really working well. Well, he's not one to really be trusted after saying that a disinfectant should be injected, suggesting. Chloroquine, how effective is it?
Chloroquine is a very good drug. It was very good in malaria, in treatment of malaria, you know it here. And later on, we left it for some other conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases, and so forth and so forth. But right now, the cases we have handled in Mulago Hospital, we have not used chloroquine. In fact, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine may have side effects that may worsen the condition. So for us, we have not used them. If they have been used elsewhere and they got a chance, that's their side. But in Mulago Hospital, as far as I'm concerned, the 23 patients who have discharged, we have not used it. So, because we know it will cause some arrhythmias and some other challenges with the heart. So we didn't use it.
But this leaves me very confused, doctor, because yes, on one end, you are, again, I'm saying this, at the front line. You are in the thick of things. You see these things. You see patients. And only to read a story like today in the Monitor saying that a local firm to make drug for corona. That leaves me very perplexed, because on one end, someone like you, who has discharged off patients from the Mulago hospital, is saying, we have not used this because it has side effects. On the other end, we have Dennis Mwesigwa, director of at National Drug Authority, commending that there's no scientific proof that hydroxychloroquine is a treatment for COVID-19. Well, that is a good sign, but we are still saying we are going to make this.
But you can hear, even before I read what you are reading, that even other experts are telling you that there is no proof that hydroxychloroquine and or chloroquine can treat COVID-19. And that's why for us in Mulago Hospital, as the Supreme Court of Medicine, the giant of health in this country, never used hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine to treat coronavirus, because there was no proof. We did not buy what other people were using. We said it's okay, they are right to use what they want to use. But for us, in our circumstance, we found no evidence to prove that it can help. So we didn't use it. And in fact, what we did was to treat the patients symptomatically and treat their comorbidities which they had. And all our patients improved and they were discharged.
Doctor, I'm going to change your title from Dr. Baterana to Your Honor. Because, well, someone who's at the helm of the Supreme Court of Medicine, it's only fair that you are addressed as Your Honor.
Yes.
Let's talk about the possibility that the COVID-19, the coronavirus 19 virus, does not adopt very well in the tropics. Is this a myth, or there's some fact to it?
Well, it may be early to prove that it doesn't adopt very well in the tropics. It may be early. Because, why is it early? Because we have been with it for a few months, and we are yet to see what happens exactly. But what we can see really is that probably in here, like Uganda, we could have had immunity against such a virus. Immunity emanating from maybe the presence of malaria, the presence of
I've read the paper suggesting that,
and this could have helped us actually to develop some form of immunity that was able to really fight the virus. The people who have been tested positive may not be really a good representative of the people in Uganda who had the virus. Maybe some people had the virus, but they remained asymptomatic. And indeed, 80% of the people with coronavirus remain asymptomatic. And what the fraction that really progresses to be severe are mainly people who have got other comorbidities. Because you can also see that outside there, the people who are dying are the elderly people. Maybe from 65, but mostly from 80s and above. And these are people who have got other comorbidities from the heart diseases, from pneumonias, from cancers, and so forth. Those are the people that are becoming more severe and actually are dying. And when you grow old, your immunity also goes down. And the Africans and the Ugandans who left us here, who left Uganda and went outside there, may God rest their souls in peace, those who have died. But they lost the immunity to malaria and to worms and so forth. But for us here, who have remained indigenous and remained here actually, we have remained with the immunity. And the virus comes, we corroborate it. That is how I look at it.
Doctor, that's an interesting
yes, that's how I look at
premise.
It. Really. Yes.
Let's just before I shift gear, let's talk about the possibility of herd immunity. Now, for some of our viewers who might not know what herd immunity is, there's the possibility, well, at least in medical, before I consult you, Your Honor, there's a possibility of if a group contracts a particular disease, if they recover from it, that group would have a higher chance of having immunity in the second wave of that, and that is multiplied and multiplied and multiplied to create herd immunity. Yes. Your Honor, I hope I've explained that well.
That is the
layman's version.
That's in the layman's version. That's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So, is there a possibility of seeing herd immunity at least in the next 2-3 years, at least on a global scale?
Well, it is possible that with this coronavirus, that we have suffered from it, and it is possible that even he who has recovered from it will suffer from it. That one is possible, because you keep on suffering from flu, you get flu again. Even people who got measles may get measles again. But the measles they get is not as severe as the one that they started with. That is, if you are immunized, for instance, you may get that disease, but it will not push you down as the person who is not immunized. So that one will happen. But as we progress, of course, coronavirus, I believe, will be like any other virus that is with the society, and we shall not actually not fear it much as we are fearing it, because the avian flu around 2007 came here and everybody was fearing. It went. This normal flu which we are suffering from actually killed many people. But now, when somebody has flu, it's normal. He goes home, rests, takes a few painkillers and a few antihistamines, and he takes out of water and zinc and others, and improves.
Doctor, what drugs are working for you? What is on your list?
At the moment, when you come and you have coronavirus and you are tested positive, usually people, quite a number of them, are coming without any other symptom. Some are symptomless. They say, I have been sent here because I tested positive. Yeah. Do you have any problem? He says, I don't have any problem. Such a people, they are admitted in the ward. They are fed very well, 4 meals a day. They have a lot of water to drink, both warm and cold water from the dispenser. They can take tea anytime they want. And we see them about 4-5 times. And we also take off some tests from them. And we don't give them any drug. Now, those who come in and they have got headache,
if you don't give them any drug, they can actually recover. The ones who are asymptomatic.
Very well. They are symptomatic, and he has why do you give him a drug? It is you, like you now or me. If I am positive and I tell you I don't have any pain in my body, you test me and so forth. Why do you give me a drug? A drug to do what?
Now that's very, it gets a bit complex.
No,
would they have recovered at their house?
Yes, they would have recovered at their house, obviously. That's why later on I will tell you that even an enrolled nurse who is the lowest in the cadre of the medical in the medical cadres could treat an asymptomatic COVID patient, because what you need to do is wait for any symptom. If any symptom, keep observing, write down the observation, keep monitoring, and watch the patient. If the patient doesn't develop any problem, leave the patient eat, leave the patient drink. Indeed, one of our patients was managed at home. We didn't pack out that patient from home. We kept on in communication with the patient, we kept on seeing that patient, and the patient was managed at home, and the patient improved. As long as the patient can isolate himself or herself at home, there is no problem. There's no need actually for admission. Even abroad, such a patients have not been admitted actually. They have been looked after at home.
So then let's talk about the symptomatic one.
Yes.
What drugs do you give this?
When somebody is symptomatic and has, for example, has a sore throat, we manage the sore throat. We may give that patient azithromycin or any other antibiotic to prevent further bacterial infections, so that when the throat is weakened and you may get a bacterial infection. So we prevent that one. We can give painkillers and help them again to eat and drink. If you have diabetes, we manage your diabetes. If you have hypertension, we manage hypertension. If you have HIV, we manage HIV. If you have heart disease, we manage heart disease. If you have pneumonia, we treat the pneumonia. And then we let the body sort out the virus. And the virus, and many patients, of course, the bodies have sorted out the viruses, and the patients have improved and have been discharged home.
We've seen you send off the UPDF doctors. Is this confirmation that you do not need an extra hand after all?
The UPDF people, the fellow doctors and nurses came to us, came to help us actually at a time when we are starting to have the patients with COVID. And, you know, we learn from each other. This is a very good disciplined army, and it's a people's army really, and we worked with them, and we did very well. Now that we are remaining with only 2 patients, it would not be nice to remain with over 30 health workers from UPDF looking after, and plus our numbers, looking after only 2 patients who are likely to be discharged today. So we said, let us downsize the number of the UPDF that are with us. So we downsized it. We didn't send them off actually. We downsized it. And I suggested that some of them be employed in other areas so that they can also acquire more experience to the level of the National Referral Hospital, the level of the Supreme Court of Medicine, in the areas of ICU, that is ICU, PICU, and the other areas, neurology, rheumatology, and so forth and so forth. This is exactly what I suggested, and I believe they will be able to come into intensive care unit and work with us, also learn from each other, and that is obvious really, because now it is very difficult to go and learn from abroad. So let us learn locally from ourselves. We have knowledge actually, a lot of knowledge within Mulago Hospital and Makerere Medical School with whom we work. And it is available. It is there for grab.
Your Honor, I love that you're touching the issue of knowledge, because just the other day, a Tanzanian truck driver is found positive, and they suggested they repatriate him and send him back to Tanzania. Now, for a group of medical practitioners that are very knowledgeable in this country, I was quite surprised that they were oblivious to, should I call it, medical law that would govern the Supreme Medical Court, which is non-repatriation, basically. Do some of these people consult you and all your wisdom?
No, you see, we work together. We work together as a team. Of course, a hospital cannot work from in isolation from the ministry, from the entire government, from the border government. We work together, all of us under the president of this country. However, when a patient who is a foreigner is tested positive and the patient requests that I want to be treated in my home country.
But was it a request though, doctor?
Why not? Why not? This is a request. The patient requests that I want to be treated in my home country. Why should you not grant the request of the patient? Because you see, many people fear that COVID, that they are likely to die, and everybody would want to die if he knew in his own country. And that's why such a people request that I want to be repatriated to my country and be treated there. Obviously, as peace-loving Ugandans, you know, we grant the request of people. We are not here as a, you know, as a country. We are a peace-loving country, and we are not here to forcefully force people that no, you must stay. If really you have requested, we grant you this. It's okay as long as your people accept you.
Doctor,
and that's how the people sometimes go back.
Doctor, then my question is, if you were to go back just a week and a half ago, and this decision again, you were consulted on the same, would you still be the same peace-loving Ugandan and make the same decision?
I told you from the beginning that I told you and told the entire country that the coronavirus is a good
Doctor,
virus.
this is a yes or no, honestly.
Of course, obviously, you remember the Mulago team had poured water on the coronavirus because we had read what coronavirus was, and we definitely could guess very well the impact is going to have on us. And we thought that actually the impact is going to be too minimal. That's what we thought. And that's why I told the whole country that where is the coronavirus? Where is it? Let it come and we hammer it. And indeed, this is what you have seen. Some of you thought actually that I was joking, but I was not joking. You cannot read a Supreme Court of Medicine for 10 years and you are a joker.
Doctor,
no way.
Doctor, no one said anything about jokers.
Yes,
my question was, if we're to go back 2 weeks ago, I think it was a week and a half, and this COVID-19 patient is asking to be repatriated back to Tanzania, and this document came for your consultation, would you sign it off and say, yes, let him go back, or you would say, no, this is against the law?
You see, decisions are taken according to circumstance.
No, doctor, that is a political response. That is a political response. If I didn't know better, I would think you're an honorable.
You see, I want to tell you this, that medical response is not outside the law. Medical response is within the law.
No, this is like asking you, does someone have lupus or they don't have lupus?
Yes.
You would say yes or no after the tests.
Yes, after the tests. But before the test, you could say yes, you could say, I have a clinical suspicion that this is most likely to be lupus. And sometimes you start the patient on the drugs for lupus.
No, this is after tests, because you tested this gentleman, he tested positive. And then he asked, he wants to be taken back home, according to your submission. Now, my question is, knowing this and knowing what you know, if you were to go back 2 weeks or a week and a half ago, would you still second the decision as a peace-loving Ugandan to send him home?
Unfortunately, I cannot go back. The word doesn't work backwards. Unfortunately, the word doesn't work backwards. So there is no way I can think of what would have happened.
Maybe let me rephrase that.
Now I am moving forward.
Let me rephrase that. If another Tanzanian patient tested positive tomorrow and they want to be repatriated, what would you do?
If the Tanzanian patient tests positive and really we see him he's asymptomatic and wants to be repatriated, we really judge the case at that time. We may allow him that, okay, you go back, you go, if he's asymptomatic. But you cannot allow a symptomatic patient to go back. His heart is failing, his kidneys are failing, he's failing to breathe. You can't say you go back because he may die on the way. Because there's such a patient who is asymptomatic, you can't think about it.
Doctor, you're a religious man, aren't you?
Yeah. Obviously I am. There's no doubt about it.
Give me a memory verse. What's your favorite verse in the Bible?
Well, I may not wish to discuss it here, but the entire Bible is favorite to me. I
thought you were going to say he wept, but let me not go with that one. There's a verse in the Bible. I am very religious myself, though I'm forgetting this particular chapter and the verse.
Congratulations, my brother.
It says something about if you're giving to a very poor person with your left hand, I'm paraphrasing, let your right hand not know. I bring this up because I'm very petrified by this giving and donation spree that's happening, and it's become an advertorial. People are giving to the needy, and they're making it an advertorial. They want to advertise. At a time like this, you have people at the front like yourself who's waking up every day to check on patients, to do so much heavy lifting, and there are people who are taking advantage of this, at least in my opinion. What do you say to the donation spree that's happening? Could it be arranged better where maybe these donations are anonymous, or are you okay with the status quo right now?
At the moment, as the executive director of Mulago Hospital, I'm okay with the status, because when the donation comes and the donation is announced, so that it is much easier to follow the donation and make accountability. If these donations, if we said that a good person does not worry if his goodness is not noticed, then we would not notice actually the donations. Some people would give donations and wouldn't know, and there would be no follow-up and no accountability.
But there's a task force, a 15-man task force with private sector, with Dr. Atwine, with all these credible people who can follow up.
So, but it is also very good. Now that we have a task force, that is okay, it is excellent. But let's also have the people who have donated. Let's know them. Let's know who are these good people who have got a good heart to give to their fellow Ugandans. Let's know them. Because if somebody is giving, when will I know? If I see only things coming.
Do you know who I want to know? I want to know about those low-level nurses who wake up every day, wear the masks, walk into that ICU, walk into that ward where they know that someone is a COVID-19 positive, and they give him the medicine, they wash him up. I want to know their names. Those are the people we want to know. Those are the real people at the front line, not someone coming up and saying, you know what, I'm such a big deal, I've given this much, and they take photographs. I want to know their names. God knows if you have some names, I want to take photographs with them.
Actually, I have all of the names, and very soon I will come back here.
Please give us those names, because we need to give those people real...
Read their names and actually even propose that they be given medals. Please. Because they have really done great. Those brothers and sisters in Entebbe, in Mulago, and that's where we're handling these COVID patients. Really, they have done a sacrifice, and we know them, we know their names, we can take their photographs and bring them here and really for recognition. They have done tremendous and very good work for this country.
Okay, I didn't come with my Bible, but I've found the memory verse. It's Matthew chapter 6, verse 2. So when you give to the needy, do not announce. Do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in synagogues and the streets, to be honored by others. And truly, I tell you, they have received their full reward. This right here, as a man of God, Your Honor, I'm sure you agree with my submission here. You do not need to go out there. Look at those nurses. They are doing all this heavy lifting. I'm sure you know some names. Please give us 2 or 3 names, and Morning at NTV will really look out for them going forward, and we will commend these people. They, like you said, they deserve the medals for Heroes Day.
For example, I have a sister, the Assistant Commissioner of Mulago, Sister Bitwe Samuge, the deputy one, she's Sister Bridget. I have and many others, whom my sister Komhendo Judith. I have Chen Lilian. I have Chen Grace. I have and quite a number. I can't finish them. There are quite a number. Definitely. I can't finish them. I have Dr. Nakwagara, Dr. Rusiba, Dr. Chilenga, Dr. Quite a number. I can mention up to tomorrow, quite a number.
Dr.
But now, coming back to your verse,
yes.
This was the prevailing circumstances I've told you. It is the prevailing circumstance. I want also to quote me a verse in the Bible. Is it sinful if I give with good heart, but some I also announce? I didn't find it actually.
What verse is this, Doctor? I hope you're not making up verses.
No, I'm not making one verse, but I'm asking, is it sinful? Because you are trying to say it is not good, it's not proper.
This is the Bible. Do not make announcements. Do not go out shouting.
Of course, I was also asking, did the Bible say that it was sinful if you gave and you announce that you have given? The World Bank announced that I have given. IMF does so. WHO does so. All of these international organizations, they announce what they have given to us. They give us loans, they give us grants, they announce. It would mean they have been committing sins? So for me, I would say...
It would be tough to use the Bretton Woods institutions at a time like this, when God knows they are the ones who give us the 10-point prescriptions of the Washington Consensus, and God knows maybe they put us in this particular problem with our primary schools and universal education to start with. But Doctor, maybe some parting remarks. We've run out of time. We could talk about the issues here till tomorrow.
Well, of course, you know that when we said that we let the virus come, it meant that actually Mulago Hospital is prepared. You know, by 2012, we did not have oxygen plants in the country. And the first oxygen plant in the country came to Mulago Hospital in 2012, and it is our team. So then, the entire country now started buying oxygen plants in different regional referral hospitals. They had oxygen plants and so forth. You also know that in our preparation, where many people were having challenges with their kidneys, we had prepared dialysis. In 2013, we made the dialysis made simple in Mulago Hospital, and now dialysis is in Churudu. It is accessible, and you can have it actually very cheaply. We also have things to do with sterilization. You know, a room like this, yes, if you feel that actually they could have been contaminated, you don't need to come to call people to come to start spraying and so forth. We press a machine here, it fumes, it gives the fumes, and everywhere, including under the table, under the carpet, the gas will go there and kill all the germs, and the germs will die. You also know that in Mulago Hospital, when we say we are prepared, we had actually enough ICUs. The enough intensive care units actually which we meant was that we had 44, for example, in Roa Mulago, that were ready to receive patients. Many people are asking, but 44 are not enough. And I'm telling them, when you are planning, there is a fraction, the beds of ICU should be 4 to 6% of the total capacity of the hospital. So you cannot plan for 100 beds in a 900-bed hospital. It is practically impossible.
How many ventilators do you have? How many ventilators?
The ventilators, we have over 100 ventilators, and they are available. And these ventilators in ICU, they are 44, but they have also ventilators attached to the anesthetic machines. So, but 44 bed in Mulago Hospital, that is ideal according to WHO. Yeah. That's ideal in planning. And also know that, of course, Mulago Hospital has super specialized health workers together with the Makerere University, very well trained to handle this. And of course, elsewhere in Uganda, nobody beats us on that. And in Africa, we are there, and we are doing a lot of work. Yeah. We had prepared the hospital for even organ transplant. You know what we do with the kidneys, organ transplant. We are there, only that we are not open the hospital. Yeah. And I also want to assure you that we had built houses. These houses which we had built were now became so useful that this lockdown, we had to house most of the health workers who are working because they could not move back home. Yeah. And they are housed actually in Mulago Hospital. Yeah. That is exactly where they are. We had put, you know, in Kawempe and Churudu, they didn't have the oxygen plants of their own. And we put on higher purchase, on a placement method. Kawempe and Churudu have oxygen, and many people used to think that that's not very good. By the way, you can place oxygen in every regional referral hospital and a district hospital, as well as health center. You don't need to have money to buy these ones. Our laboratory is also on placement method. It is a state-of-the-art laboratory, and we are doing very well with it. And you can do it, actually replicate it in the entire country, and you do very well.
Doctor, Doctor, many thanks for that. I'm afraid we're running out of time, but this will definitely be having you back because, well, it's the National Referral Hospital, and as we are still fighting this pandemic, who better to speak to than the person on the front line? That was Dr. Baterana Biargaba, just giving us a sense of what is happening at the hospital, not any hospital, but Mulago National Referral Hospital. Again, we need to commend the people at the front line. Some of the names he's mentioned, Dr. Chomuhendo, Dr. I'm forgetting the others, but Beatrice Omoge, Rosemary Bianyima, all these doctors, all these nurses who wake up, wear the masks, wear the protective gear, and they head right to the front line. Maybe we need to dedicate this show to you and the dear doctor here, the Supreme Court of Medicine here, Dr. Baterana. Many thanks for making time to speak to us. Let's take a quick break. Morning at 10 TV continues after this.